Hello and welcome back to another episode of What Are You Growing Through? Here we are, episode 3 of the series of balance. We getting into it. I'm happy to be here as always, and I'm happy that you decided to come back and join me on this journey as well. If you know, I gotta say something about YouTube. If you watching me on YouTube, you see I got another special person on my shirt. Allen Iverson. He was somebody that I looked up to when I was growing up. I was definitely a fan, especially in his prime. Had the shoes, had the jersey, you know what I'm saying? Like I was that kid, very much so. And I wore this shirt, just because I love this shirt. I found it at a thrift store. I love thrifting because I can find things like that, find things like this. But at the same time, everything that he represents, I feel like he's one of those players that didn't get as much recognition as they should have. Like, yes, everybody, you know who he is, but at the same time, I just feel like he ain't get the flowers that he deserved, because I feel like anyway. But yeah, let's get into the episode. This one, it's gonna touch a little something different today. So I hope that you enjoy, and I hope that you receive anything that you needed to receive from it. And I hope, if it's not for you, that you pass it on to somebody that you know can relate and benefit from. And I appreciate it in any way that you choose to do so. So let's get into it. I hope you enjoy. So today we're getting into the balancing of, or the balancing between, acceptance and insecurity. And I'm starting with acceptance, and my best way to articulate what acceptance means for me, or what it means in reference to how I see the world. Acceptance is an action. Accepting is an action. It is something that can be received. It is something that can be given. It is something that is welcoming. It is something that is embracing. It is something that is confirming. It is an act of love. Acceptance is love. It means you like something. It means you tolerate something. It means you genuinely, it is genuineness. Acceptance is a choice. It is a choice of love. It is a choice of peace. It is a choice of contentment. It is a choice of security. It is a choice of assurance. It is a choice of reassurance. It is saying, whether it's to yourself, to a person, to a place, to a job, like, it is allowing yourself to say, like, I see you, and I still want to be a part of this. Like, I still, not even that you want to be a part of this, to go even further, that you want to be closer. Like, you want to exist. You want to know more. You want to experience more. You want to grow into it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you want to be here. Like, you don't want to be anywhere else but here. That is acceptance, whether it's to yourself, to someone else, to whatever. Like, but we're specifically talking about ourselves. It takes a different level of acceptance for one to love ourselves. Self-love, I feel like, is a big absorption in what we allow ourselves to accept from ourselves, around ourselves, within ourselves. Acceptance is a test of beliefs, it is a test of values, it is a test of mindsets, it is a test of boundaries. Because what you will and will not accept is a big thing in reference to your entire existence and your entire life. Boundaries. Ooh, let's get into it. I think most of the time when we get into the context of acceptance in reference to ourselves, whether it's externally or internally, I think the main thing that comes up for us is the notion of self-esteem. And I think we focus more so on the things that we don't like, and the things that we would change if we could, or just the uncomfortableness that we have about, or opinions that we have about ourselves. Like, do you realize how hard it is? I noticed this as a person in general, on a personal level, but also when I have conversations with my friends, when I have conversations with colleagues, when I have conversations with these type of conversations with my clients, like, it's amazing to me how hard or difficult or just the hesitation or the thought that has to go into admitting things that you like about yourself. Like, I literally watch people take time to like really think about it, and it hurts. It hurts my heart, and it hurts that it has to be that way. And what hurts even more is that most of the time, if I ask somebody what they don't like about themselves, or what was not their favorite thing about themselves, then they have more things to say about that. And that is hard to admit. That's hard to see, but it's also hard to even pick out the layers that come with that. Because yes, acceptance is a big thing in reference to our self-esteem, because if we don't, our self-esteem and the way that we feel about ourselves and the way that we see about ourselves, because I feel like it's honestly a continuous fight against our self-esteem and our identity. And it's also unfortunate, even if we're talking more so internal, if we're talking about external things that people have shared about us, their feelings about us, things they don't like about us, things that they, you know what I'm saying? Like, the mindfulness of the people who pour into us in that way and remind us who we are not and who we should be or who we could be, but we feel like we don't have the ability to be because we're internally fighting to pour into ourselves. But how are we pouring into ourselves when the people around us or the world tells us that we have to be someone else? I like to pose a question. If there is something or some things that you don't like or accept about yourself, what is honestly your capacity to change that? Like, what is that thing? Is it like your body image, your weight, your skin? Like, is it your income? Is it your love life? Is it a mental health concern? Is it, like, what is something that you absolutely complain about every single day? What is the thing that is causing you the most uncomfortableness, the most unhappiness, the most, what is disrupting your peace on a daily basis? Like, what is that something? And if you have that something, then what or if there is a capacity to change it, then what is it? And I ask this question because most of the time, quote unquote, unfortunately, it is something that we can't necessarily change tomorrow, or maybe not even change to the extent that we want to change it. Like, maybe there is something that we can alter, maybe there's something we can adjust, maybe there's something that we can replace, maybe there's something, but at the same time, there are just some things that just have to be what they are. And when it comes to that, I think you have to accept whether or not you choose to allow the constant disruption to be your existence in this world or be your experience of this world, or you allow yourself to actually accept it or see what even accepting it would look like. Because I think it's a choice. I think it's accepting it and being okay with it, or accepting that you're not okay with it and choosing your plan on what you're going to do to change it. I think that it kind of goes on two opposite ends of the spectrum. Like, yeah, there may be some gray areas in there, but I'll be talking all day if I get into the gray area. So it's like, either you can choose whether or not to accept that this thing, whatever it is that you absolutely don't like, you're absolutely not comfortable with, you absolutely don't want it to exist in your life anymore, or you accept that it's not going to change and figure out how you're going to allow yourself to be comfortable and allow yourself to see it differently, or shift your mindset about it and actually pour, like, you know, like, see yourself differently and see your situation differently, see the thing differently, in so many words. Which leads us to the other side, or the other level of uncomfortableness that exists in our everyday space: insecurity. From my description, or my definition of insecurity, I would say it gives the notion that something is lacking, that there is not enough of something, and it also gives the feeling of dissatisfaction because you're not pleased with something. I feel like in the conversation of insecurity, there are so many layers to it. There's the layer of trauma and fear, which I feel like all of these exist in the same space, or swim in the same water, as I like to put it, because a lot of the things that we're fearful of, a lot of things that we doubt about ourselves, a lot of the things that we are hesitant of, or, you know what I'm saying, or insecure about, come from something that would happen to us in the past. And whether it was somebody saying something, somebody doing something, something just happening around us, to us, with somebody we know, it makes us fearful. And the fear kind of feeds the idea that we're not capable because maybe this other time we tried and it didn't work out. So the insecurity, or the idea of us not being capable, or us not feeling confident, or us not feeling motivated to even attempt to try to do something of that sort again, to be let down, or to be rejected, or to be hurt, or to be disappointed, or to be betrayed, then why on earth would we do that? So then the insecurities, or the fear, kind of bleed into other areas of our life. Like, if we're insecure about, let's say, speaking up for ourselves, then the confidence, the level of, I just feel like our voice is taken away from us in a way that it's hard for us to get back. It's hard for us to get back unless we honestly, truly feel safe, or been given a space for us to just be. And unfortunately, we search for that externally and not so much internally. Like, we want people to give us a certain level of safe spaces, or make us feel safe, or give us a certain level of validation or reassurance about who we are and who we can be, but we don't provide that space for ourselves. we want that from others, but we damn near cursing, dogging ourselves out on a daily basis. Can't even look at ourselves in the mirror for more than 5 seconds, because we don't like who we are. We're insecure about everything about us because we expect other people to see who we are. We don't even see who we are. That I'm laughing because I just love this conversation. It's not anything I think is funny. I think we're funny as humans. I think we put ourselves through a lot. But I find all of this intriguing. Like, so it's not necessarily a laugh. It's just like, wow. Like, when you really start like figuring things out and seeing things a certain way, it's just like, yeah. I'll end this episode by posing a question that I often ask my clients when they give me their goals. They give me the things that they want to see happen. They give me the things that they want to work on. And when they just give me what they want to get out of us working together. And I usually ask them, what does that version of yourself look like? And how is that different from now? So I want you to sit with that. I want you to take that with you. I want you to write that down. I want, if you have to ask yourself that every morning before you go to bed, throughout the day, like, that is a big, it is an important question, because it will tell you a lot of what you think you don't have, or you think that you don't meet the criteria for, quote unquote, or it will make you realize like you have way more than you allow yourself to acknowledge. And most of the time we're caught up in a realm of thinking that is hard to get out of until we allow ourselves to get out of it. Because if you don't give yourself permission to get out of it, if you don't give yourself permission to see things differently, if you don't give yourself that time or that moment, then you will still be consumed and fixated on whatever is keeping you there. And that's for something that you have to figure out on your own, or talk to a professional about, or etc., etc., etc. So what does that version of yourself look like? And how does he or she show up differently now? How do they look differently now? Yeah. I'm going to close out this episode with giving a few affirmations, or just things, validations, or things to say to yourself. I am worth more than I allow myself to believe, see, or acknowledge. I am not what they said about me. I am not my insecurities. I accept me. I accept all of me. I am not my trauma. I am, and fill in the blank. As you please, as you wish, whatever comes up for you. I hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I hope that it did everything that it needed to do. All right, friends, it's been real once again. Like I always tell you, I do appreciate you for the continuous support, and you continue to show it for me as I figure out all the things that I'm figuring out. So it does mean a lot, and you are the reason why I keep showing the fuck up and figuring out whatever I need to figure out, so I can come back every single time and show up the way that I need to show up, and the way that people need me to show up. So once again, I appreciate you always. And you know what I always tell you, you love on your growing self like only you can, and because you deserve it. I will see you next time, friend.